Hey man, how you doing today?
I'm just watching it, the storm coming in. Have you looked at the radar lately?
Oh yeah, I know we've already drugged the dogs.
Yeah. So
Dogs are
just
drugged.
fair
Every-
warning to all of you who are watching: if we suddenly go black and go silent, radio silent, it's because storms knocked our power out or something.
Yeah, that is true. So while we wait for everybody to come on, I'm going to play Jonathan's intro because I like it. That intro just makes me happy. There's just something about it. It's so good.
It's
It's
fun.
just so good. Well, we are going to knock it out of the park today. I'll just tell you. In case you didn't think we were going to do it, we're going to do it because this is one of these topics that come along every once in a while. Ha, guess who's on here? Jonathan. He kind of likes that intro as well. Awesome, dude. What are we going to talk about today? We are going to talk about the latest on Google Business Profile. Now, the GBP, which I really am having a hard time remembering. GMB just rolled off the tongue just so nicely. But GBP, the Google Business Profile, has made some changes, some additions, some subtractions, some really interesting things, all the way up to today. Something happened this morning. I've been teasing Carter. I said, "Do you know what happened this morning?" And he goes, "What are you talking about? What happened this morning?" I said, "This thing changes all the time, even this morning." So we'll go into that. So I'll just leave that hanging for y'all. For all of y'all that are here, you're gonna have to wait to find out exactly what happened this morning. But here's the first thing. This is what everybody's asking. What is going on, and why does Google keep changing the name of their local tool? What the heck? Well, I wish I could tell you. Google doesn't ever tell us what's going on. But here's what I'll tell you. If you remember, it started the Google Local Business Center. It turned into Google Places. And then it was the Google+Local. That was right before it became the Google My Business. And now it's the Google Business Profile. So what I've decided is all these companies, they just can't leave well enough alone. And sometimes, oh, looky there. Somebody remember Jessica. Jessica, if you're on, happy birthday to you. I don't know how old you are. If I did, I wouldn't tell anybody, but glad it's your birthday and you're off today. So I'm hoping you're not here, but you can catch us later. Thanks, Chuck. I appreciate that. But here's the big thing about this. We talk about branding and how everybody needs to keep with your brand, stay with your brand, all that kind of stuff. And I just laugh because the only brand that I know that have really, really stuck with it for years and years and years is Apple. I mean, Apple's the brand. Facebook is now Meta. Google is now Alphabet. And all that. You see what I mean? But Apple is just Apple.
Well,
Amazon, I guess you could
yeah.
say Amazon
Okay,
uh,
sure.
did the same. But yeah, isn't that kind of crazy? I mean, it's just crazy to me. So talk about that in branding. What are your thoughts on that, Carter?
Well, I mean, there's two schools of thought. One is the brand, needs to always be updated and reflects, kind of what's going on in the world right now. It always needs to feel relevant, and so changing the brand oftentimes is necessary to, appeal to your target customer who is aging, who is, growing up with you, and they're interested in new things and whatever. So that's often the decision behind these mega brands that rebrand. But the other school of thought is that you only want to make slight changes. You don't want to make huge wholesale changes that freak people out, or where there's no brand recognition. People don't know anything about what is Meta. I don't understand that. It's always been Facebook. So when it becomes a household name, um, you don't want to just turn it into something else too quickly. But I mean,
Yeah,
that's my 2 cents on it.
your 2 cents. Well, and the reality is there's some things that if you had your GMB working and everything was in place and everything was doing well there, a lot of the stuff really hasn't changed except for the name. What's really going on here, I think more than anything, is they're trying to refine some things and kind of give you a business profile to where as they add and do some of these refinements that they'll be able to better add to some of the things that they want to add. So let's talk a little bit about what hasn't changed. The first thing that I'm just going to tell you, this will never change no matter what they ever change their name to. This is the one thing that you can take to the bank. Keep whatever it is, whatever they call it, keep it up to date. Keep it current. Make sure you are using as many of the stuff in there that they allow you to use. Make sure you're doing that. And the other thing that's not going to change, it's still going to show up in regard to maps right under those ads and above organic. I mean, they pretty much said that is not going to change. Okay. So Carter, take this one. These are the rumors that fly.
Yes, the rumors. Anytime you have changes and black box like Google that doesn't ever tell you what's coming or what's changing or the nature of the changes, rumors. So they're actually talking about going back to the 5-pack. So what is it now? It's like a 2-pack, 3-pack?
The 3.
Still 3?
Okay. 3-pack, yeah.
Yeah, so they're talking about going back to a 5-pack. That's interesting. I'm wondering what data they've gathered and what they've learned and why 3 isn't as good as 5. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering if it has to do with the psychology of choices that you read about. 5 seems to be right on the edge of too much. 3 seems to be what most people will tell you is the optimum. So I don't know. There are places that they're testing 5, but honestly, I've not seen 5 personally when I'm doing my research. They're all still 3. So
it's a rumor.
It's a rumor. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's a rumor like all the other rumors, right? All the other rumors.
So why don't you talk about what has changed or what we know is going to change?
Yeah. So here's the thing. There's going to be more attributes, and by that, you're going to be able to have more labels put on it. Like if it's a woman-owned business, if it's a Black-owned business, if it is, what are some of the other things? I'm trying to think of it. Different sectors of the community, different labels that they're giving you. They will show you the attributes, and you can choose from those attributes because people are looking to do business with certain types of other businesses. So I would say if you're a service business and you're a woman-owned service business, yeah, take advantage of that as a woman-owned business, because there are a lot of single women out there who may absolutely want to deal with a female-owned business. So those are all good things to use in my mind. They're going to retire the GMB map, the app that you used to have to use all the time. That's retiring. And they're going to start having you manage all the Google Business Profile through the map section. So it's going to be on search and on maps, whether you're on mobile or on desktop. So that's where you're going to manage everything is through there, which is really interesting. They're just rolling some of this stuff out. And I've been reading a lot. Some people are like, yeah, it's easier. Some people are like, yeah, this is a joke. So, who knows? People get used to something. They don't like change. And that may be the negative. But the reality is this is the way you can manage it. So pay attention to it. They're going more and more toward real-time communication. And so by that, they want people to be able to book appointments right through the Google Business Profile. But, wait, that changed this morning.
That's the thing?
Yeah, that's the thing. So this is how Google announces it. Oh my gosh, I can't put appointments. Nobody can put an appointment on my deal. When did Google announce it? Crickets. And then they go out and into all the forums and say, has anybody else seen this? And everybody goes, oh my gosh, We can't do it anymore. It's gone. Is it coming back? Let's ask Google. Crickets, crickets. Nobody knows. This is how this works. This is why. This is why when people ask me, "What's Google gonna do next?" It's like, who knows? Because nobody knows. But yeah, just this morning, that was huge in local SEO this morning. I mean, it just everything I opened up today was all about how Google just took this thing away and nobody knew it. And are they getting it back? And they don't know. So, that real-time communication is it going to come back? I don't know. We don't know. Is that the same as the bookings tab? The same as the messenger tab? My understanding is yes, it is. So you can't even message back and forth right now. So we'll see what happens. But again, the local pack, the map, and the design, they're planning on changing that up a little bit. That's kind of normal. Design changes every few years. I mean, I think a lot of this is just normal progression. But here's the thing, guys. If you're using that appointment app and you go, oh my gosh, it's gone, and I was getting so much business through that, I don't know what I'm going to do, then, people who want to do business with you is probably going to call you. So I'm not, don't think that's just another way to contact you, and just stay aware. It would not surprise me if somebody somewhere hit a button, clicked a tab, and everything went off, and then they'll go click it back and everything comes back on. I don't know, no whatsoever. Oh, we got some comments coming up here. Let's see what we got here. Lou says,
I just had it up. Sorry.
No app whatsoever. The app makes it easier on a phone or tablet. That's right, Lou. The app is going away. Our understanding is they're taking the app totally away, but you will be able to manage it still. It's just going to be through search and the map listing. So just kind of watch for that. That's the way you're going to be managing that. Terry's like, on the maps, what will they do with small companies who are home-based or use a post office box? Well, for those companies that use a post office box, you're not supposed to do that. That's been against Google guidelines for probably the last 7-8 years. But if you're a home service company and you have got your stuff set up correctly as a home service business, you can still use your home. You just don't show your address, and it still applies. So you should be okay with that. But yeah, post office boxes, PO boxes, stuff at UPS stores, all that stuff. Those kind of things they're all against Google guidelines. Even the what's the little offices that you go and rent part-time, the shared office,
like executive offices or shared office space.
Yeah,
you just get a little cubicle.
Yeah, even those really are against Google guidelines. So that's just kind of the way that is. So it's kind of crazy, but those are really the things that are going to change. And guys, here's the other thing. Just with everything that rolls out, you're going to have fluctuations. There's going to be new things they're going to roll out and try. They may work well, they may not work well. They'll tweak them. They'll go back and forth. Every time they do something like this, there's always a round of anxiety that goes through with people using these tools and doing this, because it's like, oh my God, what do we got to do? What is it? What are they going to change? Are they going to do? And then they go through the iterations of everything and everything settles. And that's what I expect. So just know it's a little bit of upheaval, but I don't think it's going to be terrible. The biggest thing that I will tell you right now that is going on, and this is in every industry, it's everywhere. I'm seeing it all over the place, is what they call really unwarranted suspensions. I mean, there are companies right now getting suspended in the addresses and the buildings that they have used for years. They're getting suspended. So they're having to show, your business license at that address. You may have to show, if you're renting your building, you may have to show a current rent space. I mean, those are all the things. And you just got to go through the process of getting unsuspended. So right now we're 100% on those of our clients that have been suspended, that we've been able to get unsuspended. We've got 2 people that came to us for that specifically because they knew somebody that we had done that for, and we've gotten them fixed. So, you just have to go through the pain, I guess, of what they need and prove who you are. There's no rhyme or reason to it, guys. And please understand, you may be as legit as the day is long and get suspended, and the guy next to you as unlegit as the day is long, and his listing is just going happily merrily along. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I wish that I had an answer for you. It just is what it is, but be patient. You can get the suspension removed if you just go through the process. So that's really good. So some things very specific to service area businesses. Do you want to cover this, Carter?
I can, yeah. So one of the things that with service area businesses, you used to be able to hide the address. Am I getting this right here, Taylor, that now they're saying you can't clear the address to comply?
Correct.
So Google keeps trying to add that address back in and remove the service area, which is a pain in the butt because their system really does favor brick and mortar location-based businesses. Service area businesses are just a different breed, and it's been a little bit of a challenge. So it sounds like Google is monkeying with stuff and trying to put that address back and make it visible rather than allowing it to stay hidden.
Yeah, and you just have to be aware of that. If your address shows up and you are at a home address, you may not be able to hide it for a while. They're supposedly going to fix this, but I have not heard that it's been fixed yet. So that's number one.
The other thing is the Google's automated information that they add to listings oftentimes is wrong, specifically when it's about city or state. So you could go to your listing and find out that you're being shown in the wrong city or state. This is really common along borders, state borders or city borders, where you have 2 cities that are kind of twin cities. Oftentimes the wrong information is showing up there. So stay on top of that and keep your eyes open for that.
So, and here's the thing, you probably just need to wait and let Google fix it. You can always contact them through their contact system and just let them say, hey, we're not in Nashville, Texas. We're actually in Nashville, Tennessee. It kind of help if you put us in the right state. But the reality is Google knows about this stuff, and they supposedly are iterating through these things and fixing these things as they see them. The reason I want to bring it to your attention is there are far too many people that never, once they do their Google business profile, once they enter all their information, they never go back and revisit it. So they never even see that anything is wrong. So, a lot of times what happens is you'll have a client, somebody trying to contact you, that will end up getting a hold of you and say, hey, I tried to get a hold of you on XYZ, and this is showing up here, and this is showing up there. But for every customer that does that, for every customer that calls in and says, hey, this is what I've seen and I think it's wrong, you probably have 100 that have seen it and just moved on. So it's really important through these changes that you make sure you're going over there and taking a look and making sure that everything is correct. I would say 2 or 3 times a week, just as they go through these changes. Because, when Google does this, it's not just they make a big swoop change and then everybody looks. They're making changes on a daily basis. And we just don't know when any of those changes are going to trip something and create a problem. If that makes sense.
Chuck's got a comment here. Why not just get a cost-effective commercial address and be done with it? it's a decision every business owner has to make for themselves, what cost effective looks like. But yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of, the service area concept, or that whole scheme with Google business profiles, is a bit of it's always been a challenge. When you don't have a brick and mortar location based business, how do you get on the map in the areas that you serve if you live and operate your business on the outskirts of town, of the area that you serve? And one of the ways that's always been available to anybody is to actually go get a legitimate commercial business address inside the city limits or near the center of the service area that you have, so that you get pinned there, and Google shows you in the more relevant search results for your area. It does cost money, and it's got to be done in a specific way in order for it to be legitimate. But it's absolutely something that is worth considering, because we're talking, it can be the difference between, feast and famine for many service businesses. And because Google likes to jack with stuff, it may provide a little more stability in terms of the listings that you have. And I say may with a huge caveat there, because Google could change things and we never know exactly what Google's going to do. But right now, it's still a good strategy. Am I right, Taylor?
It's one of the best strategies, and you're going to find out why. It's next week when we talk about the Vicinity update. You're going to find out why it's even a better strategy than it's been in a long time. We'll talk about that next week. But here's the bottom line with this, and I'm going to talk about this in terms of not just most of our accounts are in the chimney industry, but we do have accounts that are outside the industry. I will tell you this: there are marketing companies, very successful marketing companies, and the way they become very successful is this: they absolutely 100% refuse to take a company on that does not have a correct address right where they serve. I'm going to say that again. They're very successful marketing companies, and one of the reasons that they're extremely successful is they refuse 100% of the time. If you do not have, if I in Cottontown, Tennessee had a business out here and my main service area was Nashville, they would not take me on. I would have to move to Nashville, Tennessee for them to take me on in Nashville, Tennessee. And it's one of the reasons that marketing companies become very, very successful, is because it's a heck of a lot easier for me to get you ranking in Google in all kinds of areas. That's why when you're a service area business and we have to rank you across multiple locations, it is difficult to do. It's really, really easy for me to rank you where you are. So if somebody comes in and says, "Oh, I can rank you," there's no problem. And they show you that you're ranking in Timbuktu, Tennessee, and you go, "This is fantastic," but you don't have any clients in Timbuktu, Tennessee, your ranking doesn't do you much good. So, what that tells me, and what hopefully that tells you guys, is what what he's asking here is 100% correct. If you want to be absolutely ranked and very, very successful in the area that you want to be in, you have to have an address, a legitimate address. And yes, if you serve multi-locations, you have to have one in each location. One of the most successful clients we have has 5. And he ranks all over the place, and he owns the place because he's got 5 legitimate locations. It's part of his marketing budget, guys. It's just part of his marketing budget. So that's the first thing. Most companies don't even have marketing budgets. But I had a really interesting. I'm gonna go off on this just a minute, Carter, because I think this is appropriate here. I had a really interesting call with a gentleman that has 2 companies in totally different states this last year. And we were talking about the cost, and he's like, "I'm talking to all these marketing companies, and man, the cost, and just the cost. I said, "Well, how long have you been in business?" And he told me, and I said, "Oh, so you've been in business long enough to remember the Yellow Pages, right?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, how much did you spend on Yellow Pages?" And he laughed. He goes, I didn't even thought about that. He goes, yeah, less than what most of the marketing companies are asking me for. I'm like, yeah. And you were competing in Yellow Pages, and everybody wanted to be AAA automotive, AAA automotive, AAA automotive to get on, I mean, that was the big play back then on your name. So my point is, guys, when it comes to cost of marketing, we're not even, if you went back 20 years, you'd be paying so much more than what you think for Yellow Pages than what you're paying mostly in your marketing, for what you're doing in marketing right now. So if you need to be in another location, put it that as just, it's part of the cost of doing business. It's a marketing cost because you need an address in another location. Does that make sense? Hopefully that does.
Makes sense to me.
Well, you're who I was asking because nobody else is talking to me.
Sorry.
Nobody else is talking to me. So here's the other thing. There are a lot of places that Google's actually refusing to reinstate suspended businesses.
So you get suspended.
Mm-hmm.
You go, wait, what? I'm legit. And Google has a process that you go through in order to get that suspension lifted, and you've got to go through the process and whatever. And you're saying that process is no longer ending up with legitimate businesses being reinstated?
There have been multiple people that have reported that we can't get our legitimate businesses reinstated. And some of these are agencies that are really, really good. Okay. And they have been shocked because they have legitimate businesses that have been there for a long time that Google is not reinstating, and they're not telling them why, not giving them any indication. So what they're hoping is, as time goes on and some of these processes get down the road a little bit, that will change. So I'm just telling you, if you get suspended, do everything you can, but just know, Google, this is Google's playground. They're king.
Well, I've heard a little bit about the thing they call the suspension loop, where it's like you get suspended, you go through the process, Google reinstates you, and almost instantly you're back resuspended again.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it's like you can't get out of the loop. And I don't know if that's like a software problem on their end, two parts of the system in two different places not talking to one another. And so one thinks that it should still be suspended, even though the other one is updated and said it's no longer suspended. I mean, that kind of stuff happens, but, with as much muscle as Google's got, you'd think they could figure that out for businesses that are suffering as a result of their, inability to build a system that's reliable.
Well, and I totally agree with you, but Google's position is, hey guys, nobody has to pay for this.
Yeah. I mean, that's such a cop out. It's like, I'm paying dearly for it if my business is suspended.
I agree. But again, it's a platform that
you're making tons of money through my advertising. So if you don't think anybody has to pay for this, watch me just yank my advertising, and what's the point? I can't get any exposure on your platform anyway. So,
that's exactly what's happening right now on Facebook. It's amazing how many people have left Facebook because it's like their ads aren't delivering like they were. Yeah. Apple did what they did. I mean, you don't realize how much Facebook was relying on third-party attribution. I mean, it's just crazy, some of that stuff. So it's like, woo, yeah.
Well, I can't remember who said it.
Huh?
I'm sorry, before we get off that point, I can't remember who said it, but they said that if you're getting something for free, then you are the product, right?
Yeah.
So, the fact that they would say you're nobody's paying for this, it's like, yeah, but I mean, if you don't have a product that's worthwhile, I mean, if you're treating your product like crap, the whole thing starts falling apart. So Google at some point has to pay attention to the things about their business that make everything else work, and treating businesses well really is a crucial part of their business strategy.
Well, and Google normally comes back around and gets things fixed on the betterment of the business. I mean, I know right now we're on Facebook and we like Facebook and whatever, but that's been my fix for Facebook is, Facebook needs to start going back to their core principle of who's their customer. And that's what we tell everybody. You have to take care of your customer. That's your job. So once you start taking care of yourself more than your customer, usually that's when things start falling apart. So that's just kind of the way that goes. So the reinstatement really is for everyone. And the other thing, this is really good. So I want you to pay attention. Do not turn on your call history, because Google has been sending people to other companies. If they get it working, it'll be great. Until then, don't be the test case. There's a call history on there. You're supposed to be able to hit that deal, and then Google will tell you all the history of your calls. But it is so jumbled and it's not right. Just don't do anything. When all that gets fixed and it gets worked out, I promise we'll tell you, and you can turn that on and go look at your call history. It's the same thing that we're seeing in the reports that we get. We kind of laugh because we have like different ways to we track in multiple different ways. Okay. So when Facebook tells us this is happening and then we can't see it in a different way, it makes us go, well, is that really happening? Or is that, is that true? Same deal with Google. So we try really hard to make sure that everything is kind of on the same playing field, if you will. Does that make sense?
Sounds good. Yep.
All right. So hopefully that helped you guys with the new Google Business Profile. Again, I think it's going to be great. I think when they get everything cleaned up, but anytime they make a change, and Carter knows this, anytime you update something in software or do something and you think everything is going to be fantastic, something breaks. So
guaranteed.
Got to fix it. So part of it is just giving Google the time and breath to be able to fix some of this stuff. But there are some things like having your location, making sure, your location is done right, all those kind of things. That's not going to change. So just remember, guys, if you watch this and you think, I don't remember exactly what he said, but I think I need to go listen to it again. You can find us as a podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, or your favorite player. If you want to see our beautiful mugs again, my wife keeps going through Facebook going, there's those guys again. What is the deal with those guys? Because our mugs keep showing up.
My wife says the same thing
on her feed. That funny? And I keep saying, you mean those good looking guys? And she's like, yeah, whatever. But if you want to see us again, you can always catch us on Facebook, YouTube. I believe that's it. Yeah. And next week, oh, you bet, Chuck. We're glad to have you here. We appreciate that. Next week is going to be really, really interesting, guys. And I think if you can't be here, make sure you listen to the replay next week. We're going to talk about the Vicinity update. This is the largest local update that they've done in 5 years. It is huge. It is going to impact local service businesses, I think, more than just about any other business online because of what they've done and how they've done it. Yeah, it's a big play. And I think if y'all set your businesses up correct and know what you need to do going forward, then you guys will stay right on top of it. So if there's nothing else, everything else looks good. We're right at about 33 minutes. I'm going to tell you guys goodbye. I hope you have a great week. Look forward to seeing some of you at HPBA in a few weeks. If you're down there in Atlanta, if you're there, look us up. We won't be on the trade show, but we are going to be in a panel down there, going to be speaking, and hope to see some of y'all then. Till then, see you later. Talk to you next week.